The WNBA Finals were supposed to be a celebration of dominance, legacy, and star power, yet Game 2 became something entirely different. Instead of a roaring crowd and a championship atmosphere, the night unfolded under a cloud of tension, insecurity, and silence so loud it echoed off the empty chairs. The battle between Dewana Bonner, Alyssa Thomas, and Aya Wilson, three of the league's most polarizing figures, was meant to feel colossal, like a clash of titans on the sport's biggest stage. But as soon as the cameras panned across the arena, it became painfully obvious that this finals matchup had become something else entirely. Not an event, not a spectacle, but a question. A question none of them wanted to face. A question the league was hoping no one would ask. Where's everybody? For Aya Wilson, reigning MVP, cornerstone of the Las Vegas Aces, and face of the league's branding machine, that question cut deeper than any missed shot or blown defensive assignment ever could. Game 2 should have been her empire. Her proving ground. Her moment to command the spotlight without sharing it, for once, with the one player who had dominated the conversation all season, Caitlin Clark. Instead, Aya walked into an arena that looked half asleep, half empty, and half interested in even being there at all. The lights were bright, the music blasted, and the stage was set, but the electricity of a finals environment was nowhere to be found. Athletes feel energy like oxygen. They need it, they feed off it. And when Wilson looked up and saw swaths of empty gray seats staring back at her, something inside her snapped. The disappointment stewed into frustration, the frustration into irritation, and the irritation into something dangerously close to resentment. It wasn't long before that resentment found a target. Not the fans. Not the league. Not even her opponents. But the one person whose presence, or in this case absence, had become impossible to ignore. Caitlin Clark. The rookie who wasn't even in the building. The player whose team didn't make the finals. The name that kept appearing in headlines, comment sections, and broadcast comparisons even when she wasn't playing. The athlete so influential that the WNBA's biggest game of the year suddenly felt irrelevant without her. Aya Wilson had always known she shared the league with other stars, but she had never shared the spotlight. Not like this. Not to this degree. And certainly not with a rookie. From courtside whispers to leaked sound bites, frustration spilled out of her in real time. One clip captured Wilson venting, claiming fans didn't prepare for games, didn't care about the finals, didn't show up. She accused people of caring more about drama than basketball, more about narratives than skill. It was raw, unfiltered emotion, the type that slips out only when pride collides with reality. But fans online were merciless. They rewound, replayed, and reposted her comments within seconds. To them, this wasn't passion. This wasn't leadership. This was a superstar realizing her empire wasn't as unshakable as she thought. And whether she said Caitlin Clark's name directly or not, everyone knew which drama she was referring to. Meanwhile, ticket prices told a story more brutal than any rant could convey. Final seats dropping to $46. Entire rows unclaimed. Sections available for less than the cost of a fast food combo. Broadcasters avoided wide crowd shots, knowing the empty visuals would spread like wildfire on social media. It didn't work. Fans had already noticed and screenshots were everywhere. Historic moment, if you can find the fans. Finals atmosphere? Looks like a Tuesday morning scrimmage. If Caitlin were here, tickets would be $300 minimum. These weren't exaggerations. Earlier in the season, Indiana Fever home games featuring Clark had sold out arenas nationwide. Tickets skyrocketed into the hundreds, sometimes thousands. Crowds roared. Ratings broke records. Everywhere she went, she didn't just bring attention, she brought a movement. She made the WNBA matter to people who had never cared before. And now, without her? Silence. The kind of silence that doesn't just hum in the background but smothers everything around it. The kind of silence that turns a finals matchup into a cautionary tale. Even the broadcasters, trying to keep the tone upbeat, hesitated to pan too far from the court. Even the arena staff moved with the rhythm of a night that felt more like preseason than primetime. And when the cameras finally captured Aya Wilson's expression in the second quarter, tight jaw, narrowed eyes, shoulders stiff with irritation, the images told a story louder than any commentary. This wasn't just disappointment. This was fear. Fear that Caitlin Clark's shadow had grown too long. Fear that the league's spotlight had shifted permanently. Fear that without Clark, the WNBA's newly found momentum could evaporate overnight, and was evaporating in real time. Fans online weren't sympathetic. If anything, they were brutally honest. Many argued that Wilson's anger was misplaced, that she was mad at the wrong person. They pointed out that Clark never complained about pressure, even when she carried the entire Fever franchise on her back. Clark absorbed attention. Wilson demanded it. And now that the crowd had chosen, Aya seemed unable to accept the verdict. Clips of her slamming her towel and muttering under her breath became meme material within minutes. Edited with dramatic filters, sarcastic captions, and side-by-side comparisons of Fever crowds versus Aces crowds, social media tore the finals apart. Even NBA players slipped into the conversation, liking posts that mocked the turnout. When your own professional peers are laughing at your championship atmosphere, the problem runs deeper than ticket sales. And as all this unfolded, Caitlin Clark's name trended higher than the finals themselves. The WNBA's biggest night was being overshadowed by someone sitting at home. For Wilson, the humiliation was layered. She wasn't just being overshadowed, she was being replaced. Not by another dominant veteran. Not by a rival star with years of accolades. But by a 22-year-old rookie whose influence somehow surpassed championships, MVPs, and experience combined. The league had tried to position Wilson as the centerpiece of its new era, yet the audience chose differently. They weren't tuning in for the teams. They weren't tuning in for the legacy matchups. They weren't tuning in for the finals. They were tuning in for Caitlin Clark. And only Caitlin Clark. Even the WNBA's leadership couldn't hide from the truth. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, usually quick to tout the league's growth, went silent. Fans noticed. Analysts noticed. The silence wasn't strategic, it was damning. Engelbert had celebrated Clark's popularity, cashed in on her momentum, and rode the wave of new fans flooding in. But now that the finals were drowning under empty seats, she disappeared from the narrative entirely. Her absence became a storyline of its own. She was loud when Clark brought the crowds, fans wrote, but silent now that her veterans can't fill 40% of the arena. It was an indictment of leadership, of transparency, of direction. And behind the scenes, insiders whispered another name watching closely: NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. The NBA had invested heavily in trying to elevate the WNBA's brand, and yet here on its biggest night, the league had delivered a product that couldn't hold public interest without the rookie who wasn't even there. The pressure was mounting from every direction. From fans. From the media. From sponsorships and broadcast partners. And from the harsh reality that without Clark, the WNBA wasn't growing. It was shrinking back into obscurity. By the time Game 2 ended, the score didn't matter. The stats didn't matter. The highlights didn't matter. What mattered was the perception. And perception had become the WNBA's greatest opponent. Instead of celebrating elite basketball, the conversation revolved around attendance jokes, memes, and speculation about whether veteran jealousy was tearing the league apart from within. Even loyal supporters began questioning how a championship series could be treated like an afterthought. The mocking didn't stop after the final buzzer. It intensified. Empty seat memes. Screen grabs of Wilson's expressions. Side-by-side comparisons of Fever sellouts and Aces finals ghost towns. It was endless. And through it all, one truth rose to the surface with unsettling clarity. Caitlin Clark had become the WNBA's heartbeat. And without her, the pulse was fading. Aya Wilson knew it. The league knew it. The fans knew it. Even those who despised the comparison couldn't deny the numbers. Clark wasn't just a star, she was a phenomenon. A phenomenon that exposed the fragility of the league's ecosystem, the instability of its fan interest, and the cracks forming in its foundation. Game 2 wasn't just a finals matchup. It was a moment of reckoning. For Wilson, it was the night her frustration became visible. The night her composure slipped. The night she realized the league she once carried now revolved around someone else. And no amount of scoring, passion, or championship pedigree could compete with the cultural shift Clark had ignited. The WNBA had changed. The audience had changed. The storylines had changed. And the league's veterans were now faced with a choice: adapt to the world Caitlin Clark created or keep fighting a battle they had already lost. The game ended, the lights dimmed, and the arena emptied faster than it had filled. But one question lingered long after the final buzzer. If Caitlin Clark wasn't even playing and still dominated the night, what happens when she returns?